In this video, we are finishing up the front bumper with the BRZ conversion. So what we're doing in this one is making mounts, fixing the lights, adding the flares, and a couple other goodies, so stay tuned. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. It's free, it helps me out a lot, and you could always change your mind later. Enjoy! The first thing that I'm doing is cutting off the old mounting points from the original bumper, so that way I'm going to try and reuse these on the BRZ bumper, so that way we have the same stock mounting points as we did with the original car on the new bumper. So the mounts ended up not working that well because it pushed the bumper out in different spots, which was a huge bummer and ended up being a little bit of a waste of time, but a good learning opportunity for me. So what you're going to see later on is that I just ended up zip tying the bumper to the flares itself. What this does is it allows the fiberglass to mold to the car, so that way it holds the shape a lot better. This will also allow me to come back later and make the front bumper mesh with the fenders really well and really get a smooth look to make it look like it was meant to be instead of just being a little janky.
Before the storm, things aren't as they were before. You best start rising.
When working with the flares, the first thing that I needed to do was mock them up and then mount them to the front bumper themselves, so that way they'll hold in place when I'm doing the fiberglass. That way it'll make sure that I get the correct shape that I want when it's all finished. The fiberglass resin that I'm putting on the outside is just to hold it when I take it off the car and start working on it. So most of it gets sanded off and I'll come back and hit fiberglass on the back side, as you'll see in a bit. But this is just to make it so I can take it off the car and work on it, which will make it a whole lot easier. So for those of you who aren't overly familiar with my process, what I do is with that big fiberglass chunk first, I get it to hold it in place, and then I take it off the car and I use fiberglass mat and resin to hold the backing for the shape. So then afterwards I'll come through with more fiberglass filler on the front, sand that down, and then hit it with a layer of body filler and then pinhole filler to make it perfectly smooth on the outside. So always make sure to get your back strong first before you work on the front. Otherwise you're going to end up having a lot of cracking and things could fall apart where you don't want them to. While the fiberglass was drying, I took a quick tangent time to trim out the rest of the front bumper to make sure that it blended along the front with the headlights really well. If you're ever wondering what I'm doing right here, and you'll see me do it a few more times, all I'm doing is degreasing, wiping off, and then using a heat gun to dry it off, so that way it just speeds up the process so I can then put on another layer of filler or whatever it needs be, so that way I can make sure that I'm not putting filler over dust, which then makes the backing weak and then it makes it come off and chip really easily, which from experience is really annoying, so trying to avoid that. One other thing that needed to be fixed on the BRZ front bumper was mounting the sequential signal lights, so that's what I'm doing here, just trimming the bracket to size, and then I'll be reapplying the lights, making it look like it's a little more meant to be than just sticking out of nowhere.